Hello friends, the history of this world has seen many cruel people who committed such horrific crimes that just hearing about them makes our bones tremble. But this story is about a killer so terrifying that it'll not only shake your bones but your very soul. It's a gripping tale that you're going to love, so make sure you stick around till the end. The story begins on August 27, 1964 in California, where we see an old man heading home with groceries. As he reaches his house, he calls out to his grandson Ed, but then Ed appears with a gun and shoots him dead. Afterward, Ed goes inside where we learn he's already killed his grandmother. He then calls his mother and tells her he's murdered his grandparents, just as she wanted. Following this incident, Ed is sent to a hospital. By 1969 he's released, and during a conversation with his psychiatrist he assures the doctor that the disturbing thoughts he used to have are gone, and he no longer sees the demon that once haunted him. He's told he's mentally stable now, thanks the doctor, and leaves. With nowhere else to go, Ed heads to his mother's house. When she opens the door, she acts like she doesn't care about him at all. This doesn't surprise Ed, as his mother had neglected him since childhood. She tells him there's beer in the fridge if he's hungry, but Ed says he's not. He goes to his room, which is exactly as he left it years ago. Ed's mother was mentally disturbed, spending her days drinking and smoking, completely unable to care for her son. As they're talking, her friend suddenly shows up. Ed's mother tells him to inform her friend that she's getting ready and goes to her room. When Ed opens the door, the friend is delighted to see him, explaining that she's his mother's friend and that they're heading out to a party. After they leave, Ed recalls a painful memory of his father abandoning him and his mother, saying he was going to the city to settle down but never returning. This abandonment worsened his mother's mental state, and she began locking Ed in the basement for the smallest things. As a result, Ed never made any friends, but in the basement he started seeing an imaginary demon who became his friend and told him what to do. In reality, this demon wasn't a friend at all. It was a product of Ed's imagination, and it was turning him evil. The next morning, Ed's mother finds him sleeping and mocks him, telling him to get a job and earn some money. As Ed eats in the kitchen, he remembers how, as a child, he used to kill cats. His mother warns him not to even think about doing that again, which sparks an argument. Ed believes his mother never cared for him, and while she feels regret deep down, she never shows it. Months pass and Ed still hasn't found a job. His constant fights with his mother make her increasingly worried about his behavior. While at a bar with her friend, she confides that Ed's behavior is changing for the worse. She recalls how, when he was a child, his actions made her sick, and she'd lock him in the basement because of his disturbing behavior. Even now, she sees the same darkness in him. Her friend reassures her that Ed will be fine. Later, Ed is with a friend listening to a podcast about murder. The friend jokingly says he wishes he knew what it feels like to kill someone. Ed casually admits to killing his grandparents, but his friend thinks it's a joke and falls asleep. Ed, however, recalls how his imaginary demon used to visit him in the basement, urging him to do terrible things. That night, while watching his favorite movie, Ed's mother joins him and mentions that the movie's lead actor is her favorite too, jokingly saying she'd marry him if he proposed. This angers Ed, who snaps that she's already had 3 husbands and questions what more she wants. Furious, she tells him he has no manners, and Ed retorts that her awful personality drove all her husbands away because they never loved her. She screams that Ed himself is the root of her problems, that everything went wrong after he was born. They argue fiercely, but Ed storms off to his room and goes to sleep. The story then jumps to 1972, where we see 2 girls walking somewhere. Ed pulls up in his car and asks where they're headed. They say they're going to the city, and since Ed claims he's going the same way, they get in his car. He asks why they're going, and they explain they're meeting their boyfriends. During the conversation, Ed takes them down a different route, and the girls panic, asking where he's taking them. He stops at a deserted spot, pulls out a gun, and threatens to shoot them if they scream. He forces one girl into the trunk and orders the other to lie face down on the seat. He then stabs her in the heart, killing her instantly. He kills the second girl as well, dismembers their bodies, and takes photos of them for his own enjoyment. Back home, Ed is looking at the photos when his mother walks in. He quickly hides them and hands her a letter saying he misses her. She throws it in the trash and tells him she's going on another trip. Hurt, Ed watches her leave while she cries in the bathroom, confused about why she treats her son this way. The next morning, Ed drives his mother somewhere, and she mentions that girls have been disappearing in the city. Ed doesn't respond, Later we see an Asian girl waiting for a bus. Ed stops and asks why she's alone, warning her about the missing girls and offering to drive her to another bus stop. She agrees and gets in his car. He takes her to a secluded area, beats her unconscious, assaults her and strangles her when he realizes she's still alive. We learn he taped her mouth shut after she laughed about the tape being too small, and though she had a chance to grab his gun she didn't, allowing him to overpower her. He dismembers her body as well. That night, Ed's mother and her friend are looking at old photos when the friend suggests going to the bedroom. Ed's mother refuses, saying her son might judge them. This leads to an argument, and the friend storms out, mentioning that Ed's car trunk is open. When he goes to close it, it won't shut, and he angrily dismisses her offer to help. If she had seen what was inside, she would have been horrified. When Ed's mother asks if he found a job, he chillingly says he did something great. He assaulted and dismembered a girl, and now he's going to shower because her body was starting to smell. His mother is horrified, believing he's capable of such acts. The next day, Ed is called to court regarding his grandparents' murder case. He explains he was mentally ill at the time and the court accepts this, declaring him free. Overjoyed, Ed returns to his car where the girl's body is still in the trunk. In 1973 he picks up another girl, kills her and continues his spree. Meanwhile, his mother confesses to a priest at church that she suspects Ed is behind the missing girls, especially after he admitted to assaulting one. The priest suggests she bring Ed to church for a talk. Ed, however, doesn't stop. He picks up 2 more girls, takes them to a secluded road, shoots them, dismembers their bodies and keeps parts of them to engage in disturbing acts at home. His mother hears strange noises from his room and confronts him, but he denies doing anything. She senses something's wrong but isn't sure what. The next morning, Ed comes to the kitchen with torn pants and his mother laughs, marking a rare moment of shared joy. She insists on taking him to church, but Ed, believing he's a devil, refuses, saying he'll go another day. He suspects she's on to him. Angrily, he returns to his room and resumes his horrific acts with the dismembered bodies. He kills another girl and disposes of her body parts in the ocean. When police find the body parts, the news spreads and Ed's mother becomes convinced he's responsible. She searches his room but finds nothing suspicious until Ed catches her. She confronts him about the murders, but he denies everything and they argue again. Later, she finds a letter from Ed in his drawer, which makes her break down, realizing she's been a terrible mother for failing to love him. Overwhelmed with guilt, Ed stops his car by the road, recalling his victims and imagining his favorite actor telling him to kill his mother. That night, he sneaks into her room and kills her with a hammer, then dismembers her body and disposes of it in a shredder, making it disappear completely. The next morning, when his mother's friend visits and finds her missing, Ed grabs her from behind, snaps her neck and kills her too. Realizing the gravity of his actions, Ed calls the police, confesses to the murders and surrenders. During his interrogation, a psychiatrist questions him and Ed answers calmly, confusing him. When the psychiatrist tries to leave, the door's buzzer doesn't work and Ed taunts him, saying he could kill him right there in the police station, making history. The psychiatrist panics, but a police officer opens the door and Ed laughs, saying he was joking. And that's where the movie ends. Friends, this story is based on true events. The killer, Ed Kemper, was incredibly dangerous, responsible for the deaths of many girls without a shred of remorse. He's one of the most despicable figures in crime history. So, what did you think of this story? Let us know in the comments, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications, and don't forget to like and share this video. I'll see you in the next one. The story of Ed Kemper reveals a chilling lesson about the devastating consequences of neglect, untreated mental illness, and the cyclical nature of trauma. Ed's descent into becoming a monstrous killer stems from a childhood marked by abandonment, emotional abuse, and isolation. His mother's failure to provide love or care, coupled with her own mental instability, fostered a deep resentment and psychological damage in Ed. The imaginary demon he saw was a manifestation of his untreated mental illness, which society failed to address adequately, even after his initial crimes. This neglect allowed his violent tendencies to fester, leading to a spree of horrific murders. The moral here is twofold. First, the critical importance of nurturing environments and mental health support in shaping individuals. Neglect and abuse can breed unimaginable darkness. Second, it underscores the need for accountability and intervention. Ed's mother's denial and society's leniency after his early crimes enabled his later atrocities. The story warns that ignoring red flags, whether in family dynamics or institutional systems, can have catastrophic consequences. Ultimately, it calls for compassion, vigilance, and proactive measures to break cycles of trauma and prevent the creation of monsters.